The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. It's another day, another live, another fine day to talk about boxing here on YouTube. So shout out to everybody who's watching right now. Smash that like button if you're here already. If you're watching the replay, make sure you smash that like button so the video gets out to as many people as possible. I really appreciate everybody for the support and just all that good stuff. Couple of things I want to get off my chest before we start the live. First and foremost, just a programming reminder of sorts. Saturday I will be live for the entire Joe Joyce versus Carlos Takam card, so make sure you guys stop by for that. That'll be in the afternoon if you're in the States. So I'll be live for Joe Joyce's fight this weekend. You'll get a live fight reaction for that. And also, if you want to support the channel, in the little ticker down there below, you'll see a scoreline across the screen. It has the PayPal and the Cash App there. So if you want to donate anything to support the channel, the information is down there, or it's in my About section. So that's how you can support the channel if you want to. Now, today's topic is Terence Crawford versus Shawn Porter. You know, the big news came last night that the WBO, you know, the fine folks at the WBO have in fact ordered a fight between Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford, and this is the kind of fight that we've been waiting for from Terence Crawford. He has been able to get those big time matchups at 147, and this looks like the kind of fight that would really do wonders for his career. So it's been ordered. They have 30 days from yesterday to make the fight. And if not, the fight will go to purse bid, and 60% of it will go to Terence Crawford. So that's what it is. We'll definitely be dissecting that over the next hour. But before we get into the nitty gritty, let's get into the comments. All right, shout out to my main man, 50 grand. OG Boogie, what's good, Chevy? He said he's first, yes. And then he also said, it's good that Terence Crawford is mandated to fight Shawn Porter. If Shawn Porter is the mandatory for the WBO belt, then he should fight him. I don't know if the WBO has regulated him as that. Well, he's been in that number one spot for a while, so it's only right that they finally mandate the fight. You know, they order the fight. Yeah, he is the mandatory challenger, and it's about damn time. It's about damn time. Big ups BT for remaining in the fight. Keep doing your thing, my brother. Made many blessings be passed to you and your family. Yes, thank you, G Boogie. G Boogie, what's good? And Jesus Sam, he says, just make the damn fight. We don't want no drama. Absolutely. I mean, look, this fight, if this fight does happen, this fight's only happening because Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter have no other options. Like, Terence don't got no options that are viable and realistic at this point, and Shawn Porter don't got no realistic and viable options at this point. Because Shawn Porter was supposed to fight. He was trying to get that rematch with Keith Thurman. That didn't come to fruition. Now, and Terence, the fight that was offered to him, and the fight that was being explored to him before this came about, was him against David Avanesyan. And if he fought Avanesyan, he would get criticized to no end, even though Avanesyan is coming off of a good win over Josh Kelly. So you know, this fight is a classic case of, you know, there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide, and you know, it has to happen. It has to happen. And Terence Crawford, he came out today and he had some things to say to the boxing world, some things to say to the public. He said, I quote, this is Terence Crawford. He said, I quote, "I've been begging for a real challenge for years. All the so-called elite welterweights have shown no interest in fighting me. Now one of them is finally being forced to. I'll show once again why I'm the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and be ready." So Terence Crawford, a man of very little words. He believes in his skills. He believes that this is his time to shine. And I listen, you know, all respect to the Warriors, Shawn Porter. I'm sure Shawn will come to fight, but I'm right there with Terence. I think this is Terence's time to shine. You know, Porter has been a top welterweight, or one of the top welterweights, for a number of years. He's been champion. He's been involved in a lot of big fights. He's got respect universally from the boxing fans and the people in the fight game. So, that's just what it is. Shout out to my man Kwasas Abdul Aziz. He says, "What's up? What's up, champ? How you living?" BT House Pops. I told you Crawford in 10. I talked to Pops today. He's good. He went to the doctors today, so it looks like he's getting better. He said Crawford in 10. Yeah, we talked last time on Instagram. He said Crawford in 10. I think it'll be the kind of fight where, Shawn Porter, he's matured a lot over the last couple of years. He's matured. Shawn Porter's matured. He can box a little bit better than he could, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but he's still Shawn Porter. He still likes to come in. He still likes to smother his shots. He still likes to get a bit reckless from time to time, and I think there's going to be a lot of counter-punching opportunities for Terence Crawford. When we talk about Terence Crawford, we're talking about power, speed, dexterity, versatility, athleticism, and just the right touch of meanness. So, I'm going to go with Terence Crawford, getting him out of there in the early stages of the championship rounds. I'll agree with you. Milo Grogan with some pessimism. Milo injecting some pessimism into the chat. He says, "This fight ain't happening. Tio Fima Lopez versus Cambosos ain't happening. Salute to Broward County." Yes, right. Broward County, stand up. Man, freaking pessimist, bro. I'm trying to get excited. What's good, Mad Chad? Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Yeah, we're discussing the whole Terence Crawford thing. Terence Crawford, been in the welterweight division for a long, long time. It's a couple of years now. Been waiting for those big fights, those signature fights in his career. Has been able to get them. It looks like we might just be on the verge, on the cusp of finally making something happen. So, it is what it is, man. And look, maybe if this fight can get over the line, if this fight can get done, the way I see this for Terence Crawford in his career, I see it as his chance to flip the script and turn the tables. Just to flip the script and turn the tables. Earl Spence Jr. He's going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao. He's going to go his own route. He's going to fight Manny Pacquiao. If he wins that, he puts himself in a greater position of power, getting that name on his resume, being involved in a fight of that importance with the Ring Magazine belt on the line. But a lot of people have been slagging off his resume, and I think this could be the start of something great for Terence Crawford. A lot of people criticize him for not fighting Shawn Porter, when in actuality, the only reason that this fight's even a possibility is because Porter has nowhere to go. PBC's not gonna let him fight Spence because Spence fighting Pacquiao. Thurman's not gonna fight him next. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Porter couldn't get those big fights, so it's just a case of he's the odd man out in the PBC, and he might just have to be, if he loses this fight to Crawford, which most people think he will, he might just have to be the sacrificial lamb for PBC so that they can continue whatever plans they have moving forward. So we'll see what happens. Shakur Marriott, he says, who's gonna fight Ugas then? That's a hell of a question. I had a chance. I was in Vegas, as many of you guys know, a couple months ago. I saw Ugas spar at Ismail Salas's gym. He looked very good, looked very sharp, very big guy for welterweight. Personally, for me, I would like to see him fight Jaron Ennis. Him and Jaron Ennis last summer were talking about fighting each other when the whole COVID thing first started. There was a lot of back and forth between Ugas, a lot of back and forth between Ennis about those two potentially fighting each other. Nothing's came of that. Ennis is still moving along in his career, and but ideally that would be the fight I want to see. But make sure y'all smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to these parts, super chat if you feel led to, all that good stuff. Let me know where you're watching from. Terence Crawford versus Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter has been in there with everybody. Shawn Porter's been in there with Earl Spence, gave him a great fight. He was in there with Kell Brook, lost to Kell Brook, but still made it a close fight. Beat Danny Garcia's the world. I thought he beat Keith Thurman, but they gave it to Thurman. Porter is the ultimate. Porter is a good test for Terence Crawford at welterweight, because people don't really give any of his wins at welterweight any sort of credit or credence. They say Jeff Horn was a bum. They say that Kell Brook was shot. They say that Benavidez was nobody. Anybody he fights, they say is nobody's. But the great Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. said it himself. He said, and they got the nerve to say, I ain't fighting nobody. I just make them look like nobody. Y'all must have forgot. And that was from his hit song, Y'all Must Have Forgot. And it's the same thing with Crawford. It's the same thing with Crawford. Anybody he fights, they say they're nobody. If he fights Porter and beats the brakes off Porter and wins a decisive fight, I can already hear it in my head. Oh, Porter already lost to this guy. He really lost to Ugas already. You know, Porter is not an elite welterweight. Right now, people are saying that Porter's this elite welterweight. But if Crawford beats him, I can already see them in my head demeaning Shawn Porter, which is ridiculous because if there's one person that doesn't deserve to be demeaned or discredited or anything like that, it's Showtime Shawn Porter. You know, he's willing to go in there and fight the best people, anytime, anywhere, any place. So I don't understand why people would slag him off, but I can already see it happening in my head. Ugas has been in DC for the Cuba protests. Yeah, man, the Cuba protests is no joke. You know, those the Cuban flags are flying everywhere here in Miami right now in South Florida. You know, hopefully things get better over there. You know, hopefully soon. Let me see. There's been a bunch of interesting tweets I saw. I just had them pulled up on my screen, but yeah, man, it's your boy BT Brendan Taylor, the untouchable True School Sports Empire will be live Saturday for Joe Joyce versus Carlos Takam. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Tomorrow we got boxing on. We got Devin Haney Promotions prospect Isaiah Steen on Showbox. So some boxing on this week. I know Murat Garcia fought today, but I didn't get a chance to see the results or what happened. I think Boots schools him, but Ugas is a killer, and he got great body shots, but Boots is something else. Yeah, man. Boots versus Ugas is probably, to me, it's one of the fights that I'm looking forward to seeing the most in the welterweight division. You know. But yeah, man. You know, Terence Crawford versus Shawn Porter. This fight's been brewing for so long. And I like the matchup. I like the fact that, you know, you get a guy like Shawn Porter who comes in and he's gonna throw a lot of punches. He's gonna come to fight. You got a guy like Terence Crawford who's a chameleon of sorts. Terence Crawford is a chameleon of sorts. And yes, Corey, the movie junkie, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm giving you the breakdown of Porter versus Crawford right now. So Terence Crawford is a chameleon. You know, he's a chameleon, and he knows how to adapt. He's beating all kinds of fighters. He's beating shorter fighters like Felix Diaz. He's beating taller fighters like Victor Postal. He's shown that in his career. He's shown versatility, and he's shown the ability to dissect styles. So I think it's going to be a fight where, you know, I think the first 4 rounds can be very explosive. I think we're gonna get the normal Terence Crawford fight where we see Terence, you know, taking a round or two to download the information. He and unlike Lomachenko, he really downloads information. Terence Crawford. We're gonna step in Terence Crawford. We're gonna see him at some point in I would say somewhere between round 3 and 5. He's gonna switch to that southpaw stance, and when he switches to that southpaw stance, I think he's gonna start giving Porter a lot of problems. You're gonna see Porter, you know, trying to close that gap, gain the valuable inches in real estate, and I think Terence is gonna have the answer for him. Zodiac says USA boxing is dead. Yeah, USA runs boxing. I don't know what you're talking about. But Porter's gonna have to Porter if he wants to win this fight, you know, he has to get Terence Crawford to those championship rounds. You know, Shawn Porter's greatest weapon isn't his. It's not his jab. It's not his speed. It's not his power. It's not his defense. It's not any of those things. His greatest weapon, Shawn Porter, that is his stamina, his conditioning, his willingness to get in there and fight you continuously. And you know, I think he's gonna have to push the pace on Crawford as much as possible. You know, the reality with Porter, when we look at it from a skill standpoint, is that he is outgunned in almost every department. Terence Crawford is a better boxer than him. He's better at fighting than him. He's a harder puncher than him. He's more versatile than him. So what Porter's gonna have to win this fight is gonna have to be the conditioning department. He's gonna have to make it an ugly fight. He's gonna have to do whatever he can to even the playing field, because skill wise, it's not even close. Terence Crawford is a much better fighter than Shawn Porter. Will Bud get COVID like all the other top ranked fighters? We'll see, man. You just never know what could happen with these top ranked fighters, man. You know, we've seen it with T.O., we've seen it with Tyson Fury. We'll see. But I think the fight will happen. I think this fight will happen because it's really the only attractive matchup that Crawford could get at the stage in his career, you know. And that's what it is, man. That's what it is. Terence Crawford doesn't have a lot of options. You know, if he wins this fight and Virgil Ortiz beats Kavaluskas, you know, then either you're looking at Terence Crawford after this fight, maybe fighting Virgil Ortiz, or maybe having that big fight with Josh Taylor coming up from 140. You know, so I think this fight is, like I said earlier, it has a chance to be for Crawford the beginning of him flipping the script and starting to put some names on his resume that people respect in the welterweight division. You know, people respect the names like Shawn Porter. They respect Virgil Ortiz. They respect guys like, you know, even though he's not a welterweight yet, people would like a Josh Taylor fight. So, you know, I'm just happy that it's happening. Is Charlo beatable after his entertaining fight last weekend against Castano? He was always beatable. I mean, he already lost. He already lost to Tony Harrison. He was getting outboxed by Tony Harrison in the second fight. Of course he's beatable. We never said Jermell Charlo wasn't beatable. You know, Jermell Charlo is a fighter that, you know, he's got great conditioning and really good power and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, he's not a fighter that has a lot of dexterity in his punches. His punches are pretty straightforward. So if you can maintain defensive responsibility and land some good shots of your own, you're always going to have a chance to beat Jermell Charlo, because his punches are going to be straight down the middle. He's not going to throw punches from weird angles or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Will Bud get COVID like all the other top ranked fighters? I answered that already. But yeah, man. If this fight happens, I got Terence Crawford winning via 10th round stoppage. You know, I don't see. The more I think about the fight, the more I think about what Porter does well, what Crawford does well, what their weaknesses are. I don't really see many routes to victory for Shawn Porter. I don't. Milky Way says there's not even a 1% chance that that Porter is beating Terence Crawford. Absolutely, I don't think so. But it's a good fight. You know, hopefully the people in the LDBC and the shit houses in boxing that keep saying that Terence Crawford hasn't fought nobody, hopefully people will start to give him some credit now that he's fighting a guy that's a former world champion, a guy that's given Earl Spence a tough fight, a guy that's given Keith Thurman tough fights, a guy that beat the great Danny Garcia. You know, hopefully Terence Crawford will start to get his flowers once he schools Shawn Porter, because it's coming. It's coming. Shakur says this fight is more interesting than Earl and Peck. Honestly, I'm really hyped for this fight. We finally get to see what Crawford is made of. I mean, I guess you could look at it that way, but for me, I already know what Crawford is made of. The guy is a world champion in 3 weight classes. He's undisputed champion. You know, he's beating fighters with so many different styles. He beat short, compact fighters like Felix Diaz. He beat long, rangy fighters like Victor Postol. You know, Jeff Horn. People want to say that it's a bad win or it's not a good win, but as far as I'm concerned, Jeff Horn did better against Pacquiao than Thurman did, and that was his first fight at welterweight. He could have taken an even easier fight than Jeff Horn. He could have fought like I don't know, Andre Berto or someone that was much more of a candidate fodder opponent. No, he didn't waste no time because he was trying to get straight to the business and get the Errol Spence fight. So he got a belt. And they try to freeze him out, but you know, they say that the truth must come to the light, and the truth is coming to the light. Terence Crawford's gonna get his shot at the brass ring. He's gonna fight Shawn Porter, and it's gonna be the springboard to great things in the welterweight division. I just saw that today. You know, Jermell Charlo as I was just looking at that today. And I said that in my last video. Castano versus Charlo might not even happen right away because both of them might be ordered to fight the mandatories. Castano's mandatory is Tim Tszyu, and Charlo's mandatory is Bakram Merladziev. So I'm okay. Personally, for me, I thought Castano won the fight, and I don't know. I almost don't even want to see a rematch because I already know how the boxing business works. Like I know whatever advantages behind the scenes that Charlo didn't have in the first fight, he's gonna get all of them in the second fight, and he's just magically gonna start punching harder in the rematch. So that's why I'm at. That's why I'm out with the fight. True. I'm looking at the AJ Fury fight different now. If AJ beats Usyk, he gives Fury hell. I mean, I'm not gonna knock you for thinking that, but I still don't think it's I don't think that really it's styles make fights. Usyk 6'3", Tyson Fury 6'9". I get what you're saying. Usyk's a tricky fighter. He's a tricky operator, but I wouldn't go that far. LOL. Bob Arum has been holding up boxing. I can't blame the other side. We see how they move. I mean, maybe in the other weight classes, but at welterweight, Bob Arum hasn't had any. It's been the other side. The other side has been PBC hasn't wanted to fight Crawford as far as welterweights are concerned. And I don't know how you can say Bob Arum is the one that's holding up boxing when Bob Arum just delivered an undisputed fight this year with Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. Bob Arum is giving us this really piss poor third fight with Fury and Wilder. I'm not the biggest Bob Arum fan, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that Bob Arum is holding up boxing. Every promoter in boxing has their own agenda. They have their own business interests, and they're gonna do what they can at all times to protect the best business interests. So, I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you. If they're using the whole COVID thing to cancel fights because they're not selling tickets, then so be it. I can almost assure you that he may have been the first. Topic may have been the first, but they won't be the last. BT, don't make the mistake with Shawn because everyone had said Earl was going to knock him out, but then Shawn surprised everybody, and if it wasn't for that knockdown, who knows? Well, this isn't Earl Spence. I didn't think Earl Spence was going to go in there and fold up Shawn. I didn't think Shawn Porter was going to get blown out by Earl Spence like everybody thought. But this isn't Earl Spence. This isn't a guy who's mechanical and Earl Spence and Crawford they fight different styles, and what Crawford's bringing to the table is a lot more. He's bringing more to the table than Earl Spence. So I just think it's levels, and we're gonna see it when he fights Porter. But I'm hoping for a good fight. I know Porter will come to fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he gave Crawford some problems early on in the fight. But as the fight goes on, they say class they say class tells over time, and I think this fight with Crawford will be no exception. What happens if Manny Pacquiao beats Earl Spence? Does Earl take a backslide like Keith Thurman? Also, do we look at Pac with a PED eye? I mean, they're all on PEDs, man. Like, honestly, like I'm so desensitized to PED use in boxing. Like, we talk about it all the time. Pac will probably be on PEDs, but so will Spence. When you get to that level where you're fighting on pay-per-view, almost everybody's on PEDs. And then the fighters that aren't on PEDs, they wind up falling in line and using PEDs at some point just because it's a safety thing. So, if Pacquiao's on PEDs, so be it. Because whatever advantage a fighter can get in fights of that magnitude, they're gonna take them. Just saying. Fury versus AJ, Bob versus Fury versus Wilder, Bob. Bob Arum wasn't. Wait, to talk Fury versus Wilder. Fury versus Wilder is happening. What are you talking about? Spence versus Crawford. Nah, Bob didn't kill Spence versus Crawford. Spence and PBC killed. Both of them had a role to play. You think Shawn Porter will pull out even after purse bid? We've seen Michael Hunter pull out a purse bid recently. We'd be shocked if Shawn does. No, I wouldn't. Nothing shocks me when it comes to PBC welterweights and Terence Crawford. I think the PBC will go at any lengths to not fight Terence Crawford to keep everything else. So you're right, and you bring up an amazing point, and I want to be optimistic. I want to think that Shawn Porter wouldn't do that, but at the same time, I understand that this is a business, and Shawn Porter might just do what he's told. So I don't put it past no fighter. BT, do you still work out and do boxing? I'm here and there. I've been a bit lazy recently, but we'll see. We'll see, man. Like I've been here and there with the boxing. You know, I gotta get consistent with it, but there's always so many things to do in a given day, you know, but that's no excuse. We gotta get back to it. I see Porter rushing the pace and Crawford countering off the back foot. What do you see, True School? I see something similar to that. I see some exchanges in the early rounds of the fight. I see Terence Crawford boxing a bit in the middle rounds, and I see Terence Crawford catching with a big shot around the 8th or 9th round and getting him out there in the 10th. Ultimately, that's how I see the fight going. Now, Milo says that Shawn Porter wants $5 million, and that makes zero sense. You know, that would be him pricing himself out the fight, because there's no way in hell that this fight's worth $5 million for any fighter to get $5 million. And if the fight goes a purse bid and it goes 60-40 for Crawford, he ain't getting no damn $5 million. I can see Shawn Porter saying, I'm getting paid more to fight Jamal James, Keith Thurman. I can see PBC purposely not bidding on the fight just to give Shawn an excuse why not to take it. That's very possible. It's very possible. Listen, when it comes to Al Heyman's a very shrewd businessman, so you can never underestimate the power of Al Heyman. Al Heyman could orchestrate something five or six steps beyond anything we're thinking. But right now, I'm just reporting the news that they have, in fact, the WBO has, in fact, ordered Crawford versus Porter. It's happening. And, well, I can't say it's happening yet. The negotiations are happening. And they have 30 days from yesterday to get a fight worked out. So we'll see how it winds up panning out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. You know, I really hope it gets finalized. Why is Crawford fighting an Earl Spence leftover? Why is he fighting an Earl Spence leftover? Why not? Here's an idea. Maybe he's fighting him because he's ranked really highly in the sanctioning body that he has a title for, and it's one of the only fights that is a realistic option for him right now. Is that answer gonna suffice? Is that a sufficient answer for you, or does Terence Crawford got to fight? Dimitri Bivol and Anthony Joshua to get some respect? I mean, I find it ridiculous. If Errol Spence wins, I can already see it in my head. If Errol Spence beats Manny Pacquiao, I can already see people saying, "Oh, Errol Spence." People are gonna get gassed that he beat Pacquiao, and people are gonna get gassed that he's finally won a Ring Magazine title, right? That he's captured a Ring Magazine belt. But the reality is this: Terence Crawford already had Ring Magazine belts. He's Ring Magazine champion at 135, Ring Magazine champion at 140. Everything that Errol Spence is already trying to accomplish, Terence Ben did that already in other weight classes. And if Errol Spence Jr. ever decided to stop being a diva and decided, you know what, I want to fight Terence Crawford. I'm better than him. I don't care what it takes to make this fight happen. Give him what he wants, you know, and I'm gonna beat his ass and I'm gonna move on my career. If he had that kind of attitude and fought Terence Crawford, then I would have more respect for him. But he don't want that smoke with Terence Crawford. So even if he beats Manny Pacquiao, yeah, Manny Pacquiao is definitely a better name than anybody on Crawford's resume. I can agree with that. But you know, in time, as far as accomplishments, it's not even close. It's not even close. Terence Crawford's taking a dump on Errol Spence, undisputed champion, 2-time Ring Magazine lineal champion, 3-division champion. Truthfully, like I said earlier, in my video that I made, the fight with Pacquiao and Spence shouldn't even be for the Ring Magazine title because, for one, Terence Crawford is rated higher in the welterweight division by Ring Magazine than Manny Pacquiao, and he's rated higher than both of those dudes pound for pound. So how do you have a fight in a weight class for a Ring Magazine title where one of the fighters is rated lower than one of the other champions, and the guy who is one of the champions is rated higher than both fighters taking place in the he's rated higher. Terence Crawford is rated higher than both guys fighting for the Ring Magazine welterweight title. He's rated higher pound for pound than both of them. So how do you have a fight? How on God's green earth do you have a fight where them guys are fighting for the Ring Magazine belt? I understand it's a big fight, dope. I'm not hating on Pacquiao versus Spence. I'm quite excited for the fight. I'm excited to see what Manny Pacquiao has left to offer. I'm excited to see how Errol Spence fights on a stage this big, but I don't think it should be for a Ring Magazine belt. You know what? I'm gonna have to text my guy Doug Fisher from Ring Magazine and get to the bottom of this because it is bothering me. The shady promoter, Don King and them, isn't the shady promoter part of the romantic allure of boxing as well? Listen, it is, unfortunately. I wouldn't call it romantic. I'm not like me. I would say I wouldn't call it a romantic allure. I'm not in love with the promoters or anything like that. Personally, and excuse my language and excuse my French, but every last one of them can go fuck off for all I care. I don't care about these promoters. They're leeches and parasites, and these guys don't care about their fighters. I think Crawford punches faster than Earl. I think he just will tag Porter because of speed. Yes, speed. It's the speed, the patience, and his reach. I mean, he's got some pretty long arms for a welterweight. Terrence, he said he don't got short arms. Did you see Rolly's story? He said he got suspended from boxing. I didn't see that. What did he say? Why did he get suspended? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if Shawn Porter's Errol Spence left over, then Errol Spence's damn near entire resume is a Keith Thurman left over. What isn't Pac-Man the lineal champ when he beat Keith Thurman? I mean, it's debatable, but yeah, why not? I'm just saying, man, like it just doesn't make any sense for Ring Magazine to have their belt on the line with Terence Crawford in the weight class. I think it's ridiculous. Crazy D3, what's up, champ? He says, will Triller or DAZN bid for Crawford versus Porter? I don't think Triller will bid on that. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I don't think they will because I think Triller's having money problems. I mean, Triller had problems paying. They didn't even pay Mike Tyson and Roy Jones their purse, so they're not doing any business with Triller anymore. Triller didn't sell that many tickets for the Lopez Kambosos fight. And I was also reading recently that Triller had this competition for like DJs and this competition of music for DJs, and the guy that won the contest, they didn't even pay him. So Triller's having a hard time paying anybody. So I couldn't see them giving. I couldn't see them giving any sort of legitimate purse bid for this fight. But you never know. Boxing is a crazy sport. He does. That he does. He's probably just trolling. What happened to your left hand fingertip? Which one? Talking about this one? Are you talking about this hand right here? That finger right there? Observer says, "Bro, how are you? I'm well, man. Just the other day talking boxing. Just getting back into the swing of things, getting on the grind, and enjoying my time talking to you lovely people. Pops is good. I've been back home now for it'll be three weeks tomorrow. So, yeah, man, everything's good. I can't complain. The zone needs to replace that Canelo versus Plant fight that's attending the PBC. Crawford versus Porter will be a great replacement if the zone can win the bid. Yeah, absolutely. That would be a hell of a replacement for the zone. The zone is always looking for programming. Well, I don't like to use triangle theories. I'm not gonna say that's why Crawford's gonna beat Shawn Porter, but I thought Ugas won that fight too. That's what I can say. Y'all asking some interesting questions. Y'all asking some real interesting questions. Smash that like button. Make sure y'all smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. It's the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Back like I never left. Back with a vengeance. We're here, man. It's currently 7:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in South Florida. There's no place I'd rather be than South Florida. Shakur Marriott says, break down Crawford and Spence. I think that'd be a great fight. In the early rounds, I would see that fight being a bit of a chess match. You'd have the stiff jab and the great basic fundamentals of Earl Spence against the athleticism, versatility, and impeccable timing of Terence Crawford. And fights like that where things are so even in so many different departments. I always favor the fighter that has better feet, that has more athleticism, that is the better finisher, and that guy's Terence Crawford. So he's got more tools in that toolbox. He's got more questions to ask Spence, and he has more answers in his skill set, if that makes sense. That's my way of explaining it. Because like boxing, for every time when you're fighting an opponent and your opponent throws a punch at you, he's asking you a question, and however you respond, that's your answer to the question. And the person that has the more answers wins the fight. And I feel like Terence has more answers to any questions Earl Spence will ask him. We know Earl Spence has a good jab. We know Earl Spence is a good body puncher. We know these things. But what's going to happen? What's going to happen if Terence Crawford nullifies one or both of those things? Does Earl Spence have a plan C, plan C, D, plan E? I don't think he does. As for Crawford, he's got plan A, B, C, all the way to Z. He could box you from orthodox or southpaw. So you got a game plan for two different stances. He's shown his physical strength when he fought the likes of guys like Jeff Horn. When Jeff Horn, I know people say Jeff Horn is not a good fighter, right? Or he was whatever he was. But Jeff Horn's a physical guy. We've seen Jeff Horn get in there and just be physical guys. And we've seen Crawford outmuscle Jeff Horn. We've seen Crawford outmuscle a lot of guys at welterweight. And if there was ever a fighter at welterweight that could outmuscle Earl Spence, I'm not saying just outbox him or stop him, but I'm talking about getting them trenches and outmuscle Earl Spence. Terence Crawford's that guy. Terence Crawford comes from wrestling. People don't know this, but like when Terence Crawford was a kid, when he was young, in school, he used to be a wrestler. He was a very good wrestler as a kid. So he knows how to get in there and be physical. It's part of what makes him such a mean fighter. Do boxers hook up with ring card girls? I can't really say for sure. What I can tell you is I've seen boxers hit on the ring card girls before, so that's pretty common. I'm not gonna give any names, but I knew of a boxer that once cash apped a ring card girl X amount of dollars to come meet him somewhere, but I'm not gonna say his name. That would be too much. BT, stop lying. Crawford switching stances isn't fluent in both styles. He just half-ass switching, and that confuses people. That's all. Now you tripping. You absolutely tripping. Terence Crawford can box just as good from the orthodox stance as he can from the southpaw stance. I don't know what fights you're watching. You're tripping. I don't see Spence KOing Pac or Bud if he couldn't put down Mikey throwing a 1,000 punches. I don't think he's KOing Pacquiao either, but it's not because of the Mikey Garcia fight. The Mikey Garcia fight, I think he boxed that way on purpose. He could have stopped Mikey if he wanted to. Yoa says, what's good, champ? Oh, he says, oh my God. He says, True School. What's up, man? Shout out to you. Shout out to the fine folks at Kingdom Cuts Barbershop. My bad, I couldn't make it last night to the Bible study, but good to see you here. Oh my God, what the hell happened to my eye, bro? Oh. Plant versus Canelo. I mean, you're gonna have it's the classic. That fight, that's the classic Bull versus Matador matchup. You know, you got Canelo Alvarez, who's going to try to close that gap and really punish Caleb Plant, and you're gonna have Caleb Plant, who's gonna get on his back foot and stay sharp as possible. I do think in that fight though, there will come a point where Caleb Plant has to get in there and fight with Canelo. I think that'll be somewhere in the middle rounds. But I think, listen, people underestimate Caleb Plant's quickness. They underestimate how sharp his punches is. They underestimate his power. And I know it sounds crazy to say because, you know, he didn't have a good performance against the best performance against Caleb Truax. But I've seen Caleb spar in person, so I know what's behind those punches. I know exactly what he's packing in his hands as far as his power is concerned. And you know, there's a reason why when Caleb Plant fights people, you know, I know his resume isn't the best, but there's a reason why he's able to get respect despite the fact that he doesn't have the reputation for being a massive puncher. It's because his punches are sharp. Thank you, man. God bless. When my hair grows back, I'll come see you. We need to see Mayweather versus Crawford. It would be a mega fight. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see. Listen, Mayweather and Pacquiao after this fight or whatever. I want to see Mayweather and Pacquiao just like hang it up. Like I love them both. I respect what they both did for boxing, but hang it up, man. Let the young bloods have their shine. Like just hang it up. Let me see. BT, I hope they keep Bradley away from commentating Porter versus Crawford with his bias-ass commentary. You know, it's funny. I met Timothy Bradley this year, and shout out to Timothy Bradley. He actually, I came to find out that Timothy Bradley actually watches True School Sports, so he's part of the Empire as well. Timothy Bradley. But when I met Timothy Bradley, he was like, you know, who you got? Spence Crawford, and I was like, I got Crawford, and he was like, smart man stuff. So yeah, man. I want to see Bradley. Listen, I feel like if Bradley's not there for the Crawford fight versus Spence or Porter or whatever, it would be incomplete. You got to have Bradley there. Get Bradley on one side and get like a bias. Get a biased PBC commentator and get a bias and get Timothy Bradley, and that should even everything out. You know. Mark, what's good, Chevy? Says, I'm glad you are back. Yes, it's definitely good to be back, champ. You know, we've been back for like, this is now week number 2, and in the week the days are just flying by. So it's good to be back. So I think it was King Tio says he wants to know what I think about the Lopez Lomachenko rematch and how I think it plays out. I think we're gonna get a much better fight. Actually, I think we're gonna get a more aggressive Lomachenko with a point to prove. I think Tia might be a bit weight drained going into that fight, so that might actually increase Lomachenko's chances to win the fight. But I think it's a fight where both fighters are going to be doing a lot more slugging. You know, the last fight for the first 7 to 8 rounds, it was a very controlled pace, a chess match. In that next fight, I'm expecting to see like, you know, Simon Brown versus Tyrone Trice, you know, like when they fought the first time, or like you know, a damn near slugfest. That's what I'm expecting. Because I can't foresee a scenario where Lomachenko is gonna go in there and try to play tip tap boxing with Lopez. It's not gonna happen. Porter can reject the WB order. Do you think that is likely? Because Porter has other options like the WBC and IBF route. I'm preparing myself for a big mental letdown, but I wanna be optimistic. I want to try to be optimistic, and I want to say that Porter's too much of a fighter to duck the smoke with Crawford. So I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed and hope that he doesn't that he's a bit different to the other PBC welterweights. You know what's funny? In 2016, I went to LA, and I was actually at the LAX airport when Manny Pacquiao arrived there in LA for the Jesse Vargas fight. And I remember I interviewed Michael Kantz, who was his former advisor, and I was pressing Michael Kantz. I was pressing the hell out of Michael Kantz about why he couldn't make the Pacquiao fight happen, make the Crawford fight happen for Pacquiao, and he seemed like, he said it was a boring fight, and he was trying to get Adrian Broner. So make of that what you will. Hell no, BT. Loma's gonna get Lewis married. To's weight train isn't as bad as Loma's limits to the body shot. I agree. I think Tio. Listen, I'm not saying Lomachenko's gonna win. I'm just saying it's gonna be a more interesting fight. I'm just saying that Lomachenko is going to get absolute. He's gonna be more aggressive. He's gonna go in there and try to really throw some grown man punches at Tio. You know what I'm saying? If Porter refuses the WBO mandatory, Crawford versus Avanesian will happen October 23rd, and that's Baki Hamna's prediction. So it's not a bad prediction, And I know once that fight happens, they're gonna say Crawford's fighting another bum in Avanesian. Who I wouldn't say Avanesian's a bum, but he's not who we want to be seeing Crawford fight at this stage. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm with Shakur. I can't see a scenario like. Realistically, there is ways that Porter could get out of the fight. Like I know there is. He can go the WBC route. He can go other routes, but I would hate to see Shawn Porter. I would hate to see Shawn Porter be a duck or go into witness protection like a lot of other PBC fighters. If Tio gets aggressive against Lomachenko, I think he'll knock him out. I think he'll knock him out. If you remember in that fight, there were a couple of times where Teofimo hit Lomachenko right on the belt line with some good shots, some borderline shots, and the referee said it was low, and he had Lomachenko hurt multiple times, but he wasn't able to really follow up because the referee warned him and he gave Lomachenko some time. So if he can just bring those shots a little bit further up, and land, Lomachenko's gonna be in for a world of trouble. He don't like those body shots. Yeah, I agree. There won't be any tip-tap boxing or anything like that. You're gonna get two guys going in there trying to get the other person out of there, and it's a true rivalry fight. Rivalry fight. Heyman will offer Porter more money to go another route. Yeah, I can see that. You can never, ever, ever, ever underestimate the heart of a champion, and you can never, ever, ever underestimate the power of Al Heyman. Al Heyman's got the power to do a lot of things in boxing. I wouldn't mind that. That'd be the way to go. But yeah, man, those are my little thoughts on Crawford versus Porter. I didn't want to make this too much of a long live today, so I'm gonna get up on out of here, guys. But I'll be live Saturday for Joe Joyce versus Takam. I won't be live tomorrow. Tomorrow there'll be no live, but I'll be live Saturday for the entire card. I'm gonna actually torture myself and put myself through the hell of being through a whole Frank Warren undercard. So that will be the next time I'm live. I just want to get my little thoughts on Crawford out on the internet. Stay tuned for some other videos coming out. There's like 5 or 6 videos I got scheduled to come out, so you'll see them as they come out in the coming days. But you guys keep supporting the channel. We're closing in on 37,000 subscribers. Eventually, we'll be at 40,000, so I'm really excited about that. And next weekend, I plan on going back to the gyms for some interviews. So be on the lookout for that. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just giving Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.